On Thanksgiving night in Plymouth, Massachusetts, the home of the Thanksgiving celebration, festivities take a dark turn for the unsuspecting citizens. The movie explores the stark contrast between affluent and working class Thanksgiving celebrations. It seems to highlight the unnecessarily close relationship between Amanda, Mitch's wife, and the sheriff, Eric Newlin, a friend of the family. We also get to see the love-hate relationship between Jessica Wright, daughter of Thomas Wright, the owner of Wright Mart, and his wife-to-be, Kathleen. Mitch is called up to work as the manager of Wright Mart for the Black Friday sales. Jessica, on the other hand, leaves her house and the party going on with her boyfriend, Bobby, to join their friends Evans and Gabby, Eula, and Scuba, who are revealed to be in relationships with each other separately. They have fun while on their way and randomly stop at the store for Evans to get a phone. In the process, they bump into Ryan, a friend of Jessica's, and a little show of territory occurs between Bobby and Ryan over Jessica, with Bobby taking the win. All these occur right before they're, through nepotism, let into the store despite the large number of people waiting for sales to begin at the front. Amanda, who is accompanied by the sheriff, brings food for her husband Mitch, which due to the unexpected call had to miss out on Thanksgiving dinner, and is caught inside the store alongside Jessica and her friends. Amongst the people waiting for the sales is Lonnie, a student of a rival school who, at the sight of Jessica and her friends, instigates the people and a commotion erupts. Things get out of hand as the security, including the sheriff, are unable to stop the people, and this ensues a stampede. The stampede causes serious injury to a guard who was at the front of the door before people burst through, leaving him crushed under the door, or, well, what remained of it. A lot of people are seen struggling and fighting to get goods that they believe to be theirs, leaving those who already are in to scramble to safety. Evan is seen on a table making a live stream video of this as he thinks it's a way for him to get famous. And while in the struggle for goods, a lot of people get injured, like Bobby, whose hand gets broken in his bid to help the security guard mentioned earlier, while others like Amanda die in a very gruesome murder while struggling to hide by a woman who was seen pushing a shopping cart amid the chaos. The cart, as we see, hits her head with force, tangles her hair, and violently rips it with a piece of her scalp, leaving her to bleed to death. Seeing this, the sheriff manages to get everything under control with a warning shot in the air. A year later, on the eve of Thanksgiving, after the Wrights were exonerated from the horrific previous Black Friday sales and their attempts to atone by donating to charities, everything is back to normal, and everyone is trying to prepare for another Thanksgiving celebration. While Wright Mart is strongly pushing for another Black Friday sale, despite the way the last one turned out to be, individuals who were at the previous sales, including Mitch, who lost his wife, were strongly against it and protested. Meanwhile, Jessica and her friends are being tagged by a random account numerously to posts reminding them of the previous year's murder and inviting them to a Thanksgiving dinner with their names on the table. They take no notice of the latter part till much later and keep getting tagged despite constantly reporting the account. They go to John Carver's house, where an ad for Wright Mart is to be filled, but end up seeing the house in a vandalized state and an axe, which was supposed to be a prop, missing. The sheriff takes it seriously and promises to investigate, but they all go on living their lives like nothing happened. Bobby comes back to Plymouth to assist his uncle and bumps into Jessica, who's now dating Brian, and Bobby reveals the reason why he ignored her for a year. He blamed her for the impact of the events of that night on his life, especially his career loss. This unexpected encounter leads Jessica to reveal to Bobby the silent truth, that there was, in reality, a security video of the stampede. Although now deleted, she had plans to retrieve it and submit it to the police. At this point, Ryan comes onto the scene and we see a replay of the territorial act, this time by Ryan, when he gives Jessica a full kiss on the lips before whisking her away from Bobby. Next up, a waitress named Lizzie at her place of work is seen showing the sheriff and his deputy a John Carver's mask, which is to be used for the upcoming carnival. The mask, unknown to all involved, will later be used to brutally murder and dismember Lizzie when she supposedly tries to close off from work, leaving the lower half of her body in plain sight on the body of Wright Mart. We also discover that Lizzie is the one who killed Amanda in the chaos. Manny, a security guard who was seen taking the easy way out at the riot in front of the store the year before, was also killed as the killer infiltrates his house with the same mask. He goes on to kill him while he attempts to make another run for it, like he did a year ago, but we see a soft side to the killer as he feeds Manny's cat on his way out. The mask is further used by the killer to murder Lonnie, and his girlfriend Amy. The killer proceeds to knock out and capture Evan and his girlfriend Gabby at school, missing Jessica by a hair. Jessica meets up with Scuba and informs him of her near-death encounter. Together they proceed to try their luck at saving Yulia with the items they purchased from a local drug dealer. They don't get lucky as the Carver gets to Yulia first and kills her in front of them with a buzzsaw right after shooting the deputy sheriff assigned to her and her father, who tried to get her out of the town for fear of her safety. All these were right after Jessica presented the backup of the security video of that night, which was said to be missing to the police. Doing this despite what her stepmother Kathleen thought was the best option when she deleted the original videos in hopes of protecting the store. The police, together with the Wrights, proceed to fool and catch the killer with the upcoming parade by using the Wrights and Scuba as live bait, making them act as pilgrims and participating in the parade. But he seems to have caught up with their plan somehow, as he appears in a clown mask as opposed to the already known Carver's mask. He causes a great distraction and commotion by slicing off the head of a mascot and throwing smoke bombs, but manages to flee with all of them as they try to escape from the scene by tranquilizing them. The killer, now in Carver's mask, attempts to kill them by first cooking Kathleen alive. She manages to escape at first after realizing how good of a chef he is, but doesn't get a second chance, as she's caught as soon as she steps out of the building, and what she assumed to be a breath of freedom turns out to be her, well, last breath. The killer proceeds to cook her alive and serve her as the turkey at the center of, well, the table, with all the hostages and the mutated body parts of his victims in attendance. With all the living beings tied to chairs in the order, their names were placed in the photo seen earlier. He proceeds to gruesomely kill Evan in front of them, and on a live stream at that. And while trying to serve a piece of Kathleen to Mr. Wright, Jessica and Scuba manage to free themselves with a ring gotten from the local dealer and escape in a bid to distract the killer. Scuba's not so lucky and gets injured, but the killer continues to go after Jessica. Thankfully, he doesn't get to her because she climbs over the fence. What is supposed to be a little victory moment turns out to be a shocking one, as she finds the body of the sheriff lying on the floor. She helps the sheriff off the floor, and they see someone else who they presume to be the killer in the Carver mask. But after following the person, whom they later find out is Bobby. The sheriff goes inside, not to apprehend, but with intent to kill Bobby. But after he goes in and 3 gunshots are heard, he comes out alone and tells Jessica that Bobby managed to escape after hitting him on the head. After the survivors are rescued and the police are all dispatched to find Bobby, Jessica is seen left alone with the sheriff at the police station. She proceeds to remove bits of bramble which were caught in her clothes from the woods she followed in the midst of her just near-death experience with the killer. But Jessica's head does a 360 when she notices the same bramble on the sheriff's shoes. A shocking turn of events occurs when she realizes that she's left with the killer in the police station, and Bobby, who is branded as the killer, is actually innocent. Feeling caught, he decides to let the cat out of the bag, with the idea that, well, it's all gonna end tonight. Jessica's saving grace was that she got all he said on a live video, where he reveals his motive, which was that he wanted to exert revenge for the death of his lover and unborn child. We later find out that his lover was no other than Amanda, Mitch's wife, whom he fell in love with after being alone for a while due to the death of his wife. This leads us to the revelation of his and Amanda's betrayal of his friend Mitch, whom the sheriff and Amanda planned that Amanda was also going to divorce before her death happened. He tries to kill Jessica, as that was already his plan, but she's saved by Bobby. They manage to escape to a warehouse where they try to escape with Bobby's uncle's car, but they don't get so lucky, as the killer hooks the car to a support beam and proceeds to approach them with an axe. Jessica cleverly tricks the killer and proceeds to stop him from killing them by using a makeshift gun to shoot a turkey parade balloon attached to a flammable gas tank, which ensues in a fire. The fire engulfed the sheriff and they were able to escape. The next morning, Bobby goes in the ambulance with police while Jessica reunites with her new boyfriend Ryan and the remaining part of the gang. The police, upon arrival, conducted a search and evacuation, and they realized that the remains of the killer were nowhere to be found. This gives them a false sense of hope, as they assume that the killer is dead and gone. But Jessica is left traumatized, with nightmares of Sheriff Eric Newland attacking her. This movie leaves a lot of fear in the hearts of its viewers, and opens all to the reality of the chaotic world we live in, and how our actions affect others, showing us the extent people can go to when being backed into a corner. And it leaves the audience at the edge of their seats, with unending bouts of questions like, where are the remains of the killer? If there are no remains, did he survive the fire? And how could someone survive being caught up in a fire like that if he did survive? Among others.